Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome to the Village Boy Podcast. It's your host, Village Boy, main chief of the village, Trez. I've been telling my fellow brothers and sisters that it's time to do some reflection, personal reflection, and ask yourself, why am I a Democrat? If you've been voting for the last, in fact, if you've been voting since Obama, we're just going to take Obama as a case study. This is the length of time. So '08, '12, and then you had Trump 16, Biden 20, and back Trump 24. So if you've been voting for that period of time, and specifically you're black, from Obama, the thrills, the highs, the dream of seeing a black man, because America has always had white men be president. So the aspiration to see a black man be president was something that everybody should have aspired towards, right? In '08. In 2012, you could have now assessed if you wanted to still vote for him, because now you could have measured that. What was the output? Was he productive? Because that is politics. Politics is a game of output. I give you something, you give me back something. That's all politics is. And if you're not doing that, then you've lost the game plan. If you're investing your emotions, if you are voting because of a collection, like people that look like you, people that sound like you've lost the game plan. The game plan, again, for politics is simple. You need votes because you're the politicians. I need resources because I'm the citizen. I give you my vote. You give me resources that I specifically demand. You're not giving me things that I didn't demand, right? And because we live in a community, that community has like-minded demands. So as a community, we're going to ask for similar things. And when we give our vote to this candidate, the candidate takes our vote and get into office and then pass laws that are going to ensure that we get what we demanded. We're not begging. We're not in a position to beg. And as a black person, take some time and put your fingers and say, I demanded this and I got it. I demanded this and I got it. I demanded this and I got what I demanded. I demanded this and I got it. And fit of all, I demanded 5 points. This under Obama, five things that you demanded from Obama. With the 2008 was a trill year, so there were no demands. We went with what traditionally white people would want for us. In 2008, there were no demands. We were just happy. 2012, that was a time that we would have come back to our senses and make demands and say, we want this, we want this, we want this, we want this. And then he starts to deliver, because when he doesn't deliver, then we're able to hold him accountable and say, we asked for this the last time we voted for you and you didn't give it to us. That's how elections are. That's how a political relationship works. It's not personal, it's strictly business. You want votes, I want resources. I give you my vote, you give me resources. And the way it works is that I could give you my vote, and if you don't give me resources, I'm not going to vote you back in office. It's that simple, right? Nobody should make this any more than what it actually is. It's just that simple. And for years, I've been telling Democrats that especially blacks. I used to be a black Democrat because, like I said, when I came here, there was that was just it. You had to be a Democrat. There were no other outlets. The Republican Party was just the devilish party. I was told the Republican Party, and I never liked the two-party system because there are things. I mean, as I became a man, there were things that I liked about the Republican Party, and there are things that I like about the Democrat Party, and I couldn't just give up this one and then or give up this one. This is when the Democrat Party was still a party of fair-minded, reasonable people. They used to call Democrats back in the day, blue Reagan Democrats, blue Democrats, conservative Democrats. They used to have all this kind of Democrats that were not outrightly liberal and progressive and just radical. You had fair-minded. You had people who were left of center, who were very reasonable. And at the turn of the Obama regime, I think this is when the Democrat Party started to lose its mind, lose its focus, and we are seeing the fruits. And so, for the longest time, I've told the community of which I'm part of, I'm like, listen, at some point, we need to start taking stock, which is asking the Democrats, what have you given back for our votes? What have you given us back for our votes? Right? I cannot speak for a community that I don't belong in. I don't know what the white community in the Democrat Party is asking for. And I started to ask myself this questions. I'm like, what am I getting in return for my vote? What resources am I getting from the politicians that we put in office for this vote that I gave them? What is my community getting back? And I couldn't answer that question. I couldn't name two things that I got back under Obama. I couldn't name anything that I got under Biden. And I was like, it's time for a change. And I decided because it's a binary election. There are no other. There's nothing else. It's a binary elections. I've always told black people, you don't have to be Republicans, but you also don't have to be Democrats, right? You can be independent. You can be neutral, where you're like, we're not. And this is what Ice Cube. This is what Ice Cube was trying to push out. Black people, we don't have to buy this narrative that we have to be left or we have to be right. We don't have to. 46 million strong, you could totally, and when I'm saying black people is because until you open your mouth and speak, when you look at me, when the police officer looks at me, he thinks I'm black. The only time he starts to differentiate me is when I speak. When I open my mouth and he hears my accent, and he's like, "Oh, this is not a foundation of black." Once I speak, but they don't know when they see me. So at this point, we are all black. But I still think that foundational blacks are not immigrants. I am an immigrant. Foundational blacks and indigenous people, they're not immigrants. They cannot be quantified as people of color and grouped with every person else. You don't do that with Native Americans. But that will be a conversation for another day. Let's come back to this picture why I have Chief Town Crier here, Van Jones of CNN, our black brother, the guy who's supposed to break the Democrat Party to us, right? Who's supposed to break that narrative down to us so we understand better. And he's always up there crying because somehow we're letting him down, or the right, the white right people who was they're always blaming them are letting us down. But Van Jones never speaks for us. He never makes clear demands to the party that he supports that this is what the black people are expecting of you, Mr. President. He never told Biden, this is what the black people are expecting for you. This is what the black people want. We want resources. We want things that are going to come back to the black community and create opportunities for black people. I'll tell you a story. A lot of white communities were built by single factories. The one factory in a small village somewhere, one of those rural places where everybody in that town works in, producing a car battery, producing some auto plant, some manufacturing plant, something, and that's where everybody worked. And then that plant was able to create tertiary jobs, right? And that's how that community of 10,000 people, 20,000 people was able to grow. Blacks don't have that. Blacks don't have that. And so Discovery, the cart Discovery decided. Discovery is, I think, their corporate office is out in Illinois. Discovery decided to say, we're going to relocate some jobs for black folks, right? That's their way of empowering black folks. So we're going to we're going to restructure some jobs for black folks. And I was like, that's amazing because Discovery is a massive company. There are good jobs that are going to trickle down to black folks. And if black folks have good jobs within their communities, it's going to trickle down to tertiary jobs and stuff, right? So I decided to do some more research. I decided to look at the specific kind of jobs that Discovery was bringing into the Black community in Chicago. Because Discovery has the corporate office somewhere, I think in Naperville, Illinois. They have the beautiful offices, the beautiful jobs in the suburbs of Illinois, and they have nothing in the Black communities. And so they said that we're going to give back, so that we're going to open some offices, that we're going to open some job centers in the black communities to be able to, and it was a good thing. I was like, this is some of the resources that we're talking about, bringing businesses so black people can have resources. So I looked it up. Discovery was opening call centers. So I looked at the salary of and somebody would be like, "Oh, it's a job." I looked at the salary of a call center for a discovery person, which is about $18 to $22 an hour. And I was like, yeah, this is not going to move anybody vertically, right? It's not going to move anybody upwards above the median income of America. That's what blacks are not getting. And so when you see town criers like Van Jones, these are not the conversations that they have on CNN. This is not what they push the Biden administration to bring into the black community. But every other community, the Indian communities, they come and have resources and they build stuff, right? After this shellacking, this butt whooping that Donald Trump gave the Democrats, which by all accounts, I was already done with the Democrat Party. They had lost me because they had gone so far off left. I couldn't fit in that party no more. I could not see myself in a party that had gone. You could not say anything. You could not tell the party that, listen, this path that you are on is so off course. And you handpicked a woman that was so not ready to be VP. Right. And this is the kind of pandering I could not take. I'm sorry. I cannot be in a political system that is just pandering from left to right. You pander. You have to keep pampering people's emotion and you can't tell nobody the truth. On this platform, on the Village Boy platform, what you're going to find is always going to be the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth. You could disagree with me. I am never going to take an all out. So I'm going to support Trump right now. If he does something stupid, dumb, I will be calling him out. And if that's not you, this platform might not be for you because I'm not going to be one of those people that just sing praises to Elon Musk no, I'm going to disagree. I disagree. I'm not a fan of Elon Musk, and I've said that plenty of times. I mean, I like the fact that he's finding out all of these things, but I still think that more can be done. I don't like Elon Musk because he doesn't have a track record of creating jobs. And that's one thing that I don't like about him. He does not have a track record everywhere he's been, being the richest man in the world. Elon has created a total of 150,000 jobs across the world, everywhere in the world. That is mightily insignificant for him. So there's nothing to like about that. I'm not impressed with his wealth. That's his wealth. I'm not impressed. I'm impressed. I look at his success story. I'm like, okay, good, but I'm not impressed with it. I don't benefit from it. I look at his record on employment, being the richest man in the world. How many millionaires have you created? How many people have you employed that will be able to trickle down? And I don't see it. And he gets in the government and he wants to split the government into halves. I'm opposed to that. But I voted for Trump, and I'm going to support Trump and not support Elon. See how I could do that? And this is the page that you're going to find that kind of conversation. And if you're liking this conversation, hit the like button for the algorithm because hey, we want more people to see this. Let's come back to Vance and his crying. Lately, the party of first this, first that. That's how I called them. I've always called them this because every time there's a first, they're always talking about we are the party of first, we're the party of this, the party of first. The party of first, since the shellacking that they got, have been looking for an identity. They've had Jasmine Crockett. I think I need to do a show on this. I I think I talked about her in one of the episodes where I said this one has no more future as a politician. She's just gonna entertain us for the next couple of months, and then we're just gonna forget her because she has no future. She's done. The number of content that she produces is going to be used against her in any other adventure she thinks that she wants to run for higher office. That's just going to be the ads that they're going to play. They write themselves. But back to Van Jones, he hasn't been crying lately. I think he has gone through the 5 stages of grief. For the most part, most Democrats have gone through the 5 stages of grief. They've gone through the anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Denial is the first one. That when the election happened, they did deny. They're like, oh, Russia does that, and then when they saw the numbers come in, um, it's been anger and bargaining for the most part. African Democrats, like I call them, the most uninformed voters, they just follow, just go with the narrative. They never ask any questions. They're gonna be the last. They just stuck on anger and bargaining. But for the most part, most Americans have moved past. They've gone past that. I remember the time when the white women were cutting their hair. Most people have gone through the initial denial and anger and bargaining phase. Um, they've gone through the depression phase, and now they're in the acceptance phase. And we're going to play a video here to show you an example of that acceptance phase of Van Jones accepting the reality on the ground that the Democrats are losing focus. They're losing.
Yeah. And then just lastly, Van, in terms of Democrats and where they go from here, this last week we did see them some people try to protest during the president's address, and then House leadership getting on to them, other Democrats calling them out. They still seem to be wandering around trying to figure this out. What's your take?
Can we ask another question? Do I have to talk about my own party? Can we talk about Ukraine or something? No. Look, man, we're screwed. I mean, we don't know. No, Democrats don't know what to do. This is a nightmare. Somebody like Donald Trump, we thought we'd at least have Hakeem.
At least he's saying they're screwed. I've been telling my people that you guys are screwed because the first thing is you don't even know why people voted against you. You are refusing to accept the reason why people voted against you. Just before the joint session speech, Democrats went in and voted for men to play in women's sports. If this is not a party that is just tone deaf to the realities of what the American people keep telling them, they Democrats are absolutely just tone deaf. Because I cannot understand how you just lost an election on this subject, on this issue. The Americans voted that they wanted kids to be left alone. Trump just passed an executive order that says America recognizes only two genders. Trump just passed an executive order again that there will be no federal funding for any schools that allow men to play in women's sports. So you could see the polls are showing that the vast majority of Americans, 70%, support this initiative. But Democrats are tone deaf. This is the hill that Democrats say they want to die on. This is a party that does not know how to read a room. This is a party that does not know how to gauge the temperature of the country. This is a party cut in its own bubble and thinks that because they are within their circle and they feed off the energy of each other. People like Ben Jones, when he's not crying, as beginning to sound the alarm. They've accepted. This is the acceptance phase of the 5 stages of grief that Ben Jones is going through right now.
Jeffries in the speaker's chair to hold him back if we didn't have Kamala in there to do the right thing. Listen, the Democratic Party is going through a massive set of internal crises. You have a party that got trapped two ways. One, defending a broken status quo that nobody likes because they thought that Donald Trump was going to make it worse. But when you're defending the status quo, you're going to lose. And then,
and to speak a little bit on that, when Kamala, I knew from the beginning when the conditions under which she was picked, when Biden said he was only going to pick a black woman, they're not many black women who would be befitting vice president. Let's not kid ourselves, right? I know we like to pamper ourselves, but an example is that there has never been a black female governor in America. That's usually the pool to pull from. That's usually the place where you pull either presidents or vice presidents, governorship, and there've never been a black female governor, right? And I would like black women to consider this option to be pushed for to be governors more than aspiring to be presidents in the short term. The governorship is more achievable than the aim to be a president. And you have the ability to change your people's outcome more as a governor than as a president. But Van Jones was talking here about a failed status quo. When Kamala Harris who was asked, what are you going to change about Biden? This woman said nothing. And you sat there and you're like, how can you be the replacement? You've looked at the polls that they're telling you everything that people don't like about the regime that you were the vice president of. And you are asked, you're given a golden question. What are you going to change? You would say, this is what I'm going to change. On day one, I'm going to implement X, Y, and Z, and it's going to cost this, that, that. On day two, we're going to cut off the Trump tariffs, right? Because your boss, the president, did not cut the Trump tariffs, which means the tariffs were not bad. But if you think you're going to cut it, I will cut it. I would stop this Trump policy. Most importantly, I'm going to secure the borders. I'm going to secure the borders and I'm going to deport as many illegals as there are in America. And if you've committed a crime in America, and you could go ahead and say the same line that every president says, which I think it's wrong. America is a country of immigrants, but America is also a country of laws. Black Americans are not immigrants and they're part of America. So you could say that, you could have said that, and people would have had some credibility and validity, seen some validity in you, but she didn't. But we're not going to relitigate Kamala Harris. She's of past political memories right now because she's never going to be a president. If she can run again, she's still going to lose. And the Democrats, like I already said in another video, don't stand a chance in 2028. So we see Van Jones right here giving a breakdown of where the Democrat Party is. And if they listen, if they can consult me, I'll be able to help them because I'll tell them you have to see 2028 out. Your only option to start coming back is after 2028. So we're looking what 32, and that would be because Republican fatigue is setting in. Because as you see, Republicans, they're gonna start blowing it up at some point. So Republican fatigue is gonna start setting in, and then people are gonna consider Democrat candidates again. Let's listen to Van Jones.
offending most people in the country, calling everybody sexist and racist and transphobic and every other name, and then saying, please follow us.
And on this topic that he just said, I have a video. If labels are still valid, the country just got immune. These things were no longer working. You could call somebody homosexist, homo transphobic, homo whatever. All of these names don't matter anymore. People like Van Jones have gotten there, but
That's
most of
not a
them
good
have not.
strategy, folks. Defending a broken status quo and offending most of the country turns out is not as popular as my party thought it was going to be. And so it's going to take a while for people to get it figured out. I don't like talking about this. I'd rather be beat up. Can you give me something I can beat up Shermichael about? I don't want to talk about my own party.
I know.
And I would have played another person who has been talking about this issue, trying to reorient Democrats to the temperature of the country. John Fetterman, senator from Pennsylvania. He did say something. I would have shared a video for him, but I don't want to give him stage because he voted for men in women's sports, which means he's half and half. He is sometimes half logical, and the other half he's a Democrat, right? He has not fully comprehended that This votes, it's just what the country does not want, right? So people are willing to embrace John Fetterman and say, okay, you're beginning to be like the light in the tunnel for the Democrats, but there's that Democrat thing about you that you're not willing to give up this whole man in women sports thing. You're also glued and hung on this as a Democrat, and you're not willing to let go. And as long as Democrats hang on this narrative, I already said there's no hope for 2028. The amount of content that is coming out to re-educate Black people to cut off from the Democrat Party. If Black people start embracing and considering this option, then the Democrat Party has a bigger problem than they actually know. Because the amount of people that are pushing Black people to wake up, Black people have been asleep since the civil rights. Once the civil rights passed, Black people went to sleep. They just turned off trip and went to sleep. Right. And we're going to make a video about this at some other point. I would round up right now. This video was just to say, after I saw Van Jones, I think it looks like Democrats are beginning to accept the reality that their party is just a lost cause at this point. And people like Jasmine Crockett or Crochet or whatever her name is cannot be the mouthpiece of the Democrat Party. She's doing no service to the Democrat Party. And if the majority of Black people who are tuning into private media like my own, they're liking, they're subscribing, which is what you're doing. You should like, you should subscribe, you should share so that my page packed with information targeting the Black consciousness to wake up, to ask for more, to be aggressive about their demands. They're not begging. If this group of people wake up, we're about to change this world in a fundamental way. It has been your host, Tres, for the Village Boy podcast. I appreciate the likes. Liking the post, subscribing is what does the most service to me. Keep liking and keep subscribing together as one family of truth tellers. Thank you.